This is a TalkStation original podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Paper Boys podcast. I'm JJ Smith.
And I'm Zach Nally.
We're reporters with the Carteret County News-Times. We're going to be starting a series here where we talk to former county student athletes who have taken unique paths in their college life. And today we're talking to Lillie Seymour, a Croatan volleyball player who is, by our accounts, the only former county student athlete to be a beach volleyball player in college. If we're wrong about that, someone can let us know. So Lillie, that certainly makes you unique. How does someone go from Croatan volleyball to Arizona State beach volleyball?
First of all, thank you guys so much for having me on.
Sure.
Happy to be here. I don't know. I was in the recruiting process for a while. I knew I played volleyball growing up in Texas, and obviously volleyball is huge there. So when I moved to North Carolina, it was a little bit smaller out at Croatan, but you know, we had a pretty good team, and I always knew that I wanted to play in college. I actually wanted to play indoor for a while, and then I started playing beach with Garrett Michael, the high school club coach, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely loved beach, and I decided that I wanted to play beach in college instead of indoor, and so I started the recruiting process, and I ended up here at ASU.
Well, what is the draw, you think, for beach volleyball compared to indoor that just made you fall in love with it?
I think that there's obviously, they both have their own challenges, but having two people to a court versus six is quite different. And then playing in sand is also quite different. They're just very different sports when it comes down to it. Even when it comes down to the skill level, it's different. I think beach is more of a creative outlet. You kind of get to express yourself and your skills a little bit differently than indoor. I loved indoor and having a big team, but there's something really special about just being with one other player on the court and getting to kind of cultivate your craft as a partnership, figuring out the grit and strategy and what it's going to take to win.
Well, and at what point did you think that you wanted to try and play in college?
I knew I started playing volleyball when I was in first grade. So I've always been in sports, but I've known since probably sixth grade maybe that I wanted to play in school. Once I started getting a little bit taller than everyone else. But I think I got into beach kind of late. I think I was a sophomore or maybe a junior when I decided I wanted to play beach in college, and then went through that whole process.
Well, and of course, then you start looking around at different programs that might offer it. And when I wrote the story in 2021 for your signing day, there was only 65 schools in the country that offer Division I beach volleyball programs, and there was just one in this state, UNC Wilmington. And I think Arizona State was one of the first to have that, and one of the first to start offering scholarships. And so, at one point, obviously, they stuck out to you, and the idea of traveling across the country to go to school wasn't a factor for you.
Yeah, I knew I always wanted to go far away from home in college. So ASU was actually a huge, I just wanted something new, and it being, so close to the West Coast, I was oh, score. The school is great. I loved the team. Everything about it was awesome. I definitely did my shopping when I was in recruitment, and I did look at UNCW, but it was close to home, and I just wanted something new, and this was definitely new and different. It's been amazing out here. I love it.
And you grew up in Texas, right?
I did, yeah.
From what ages?
I think I moved when I was 5, and then I lived there until I was 12 or 13, and then I moved to the Carteret area when I was in 8th grade. So I finished up my last year of middle school and then lived there through high school and then ended up here.
And you said volleyball is big in Texas, huh?
Enough that you're playing at that young age, too.
Yeah,
it's
crazy out there.
It's not just a football state, huh?
Not just a football state. The girls' sport is definitely volleyball out there.
Okay.
But I think that's what living in Texas just made me so competitive about volleyball, because it was so intense out there. I mean, I had practiced as a sixth grader, I had practiced 4 or 5 times a week for 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Every day. And that would be after 8 hours of school. And then to go from that and then moving to North Carolina, where, we had our high school season, which, is obviously I guess an hour and a half of practice every day, but it just wasn't as intense. So kind of had to do some like searching for, a club team. And my sister and I ended up like driving out to New Bern we played for TRVC for a few years just to kind of try to like replicate the intensity of like, volleyball that we found in Texas.
Where did you live in Texas?
North of Dallas in a suburb called McKinney. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a very like suburban area, lots of kids, lots of schools, lots of things to do, but I loved living there.
So if you'd have went into high school in Texas, what would have been the size of your high school?
I forget because honestly, that area is growing so much. They've built like 4 different high schools since I moved. I know I was originally supposed to go to Heritage, and then I think I would have ended up at one of like the ginormous ones. I actually went to a charter school though, so assuming that I would have stayed in the charter school and not gone to public school, I'm not really sure where I would have ended up.
I was just curious if you would have ended up at one of those high schools where the football stadium holds like 30,000 people or whatever.
No, but I have some of my friends go to that school, and yeah, no, it's insane. It's where the Cowboys practice, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. So it's nuts.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned that it's big in Texas. I was looking at the roster for Arizona State, and a solid chunk of those girls are from Texas. So it really is a thing out there. When you came here to Croatan, I think the beach volleyball program was relatively small and new. I think it started in 2014, and I know that you and Jackie Gartner went to the state championship for beach volleyball, I believe, sand volleyball.
Yeah, we did. I guess I just talked to Coach Michael the other day, and I think he said he's coming up on his 9th year, which is insane. And he just like really like, I just have so much respect for him because he just had like a passion for beach and, implemented the program and got so many people into it and just like really loved it and like loved the people and loved the girls and the guys that played. And it really like turned into like, I think there weren't a ton of people when I first started playing. And then eventually I feel like most of the girls that were on the indoor team at Croatan ended up playing beach too. So, yeah, no, it was really cool how he was just able to grow that program and just grow it in the entire area, too. All the surrounding high schools ended up picking it up. And, it got pretty competitive, and, the state championships were so fun. So it was an awesome experience.
I was going to say they've had some success. A couple of years ago, they were named they were named the best club at the Southern Sands volleyball courts at the state championships, and it was Alex Gardner, MJ Klauman, Jackie Gardner, Amanda Simberlin, Cammie Davis, and Abry Mortal. So, it's not just a new program, but it's been a successful program. Are you surprised at how well they've done in a short amount of time?
Yeah, no, I know all those girls were a little younger than me, but yeah, no, it's just incredible to see the growth of the program. But I can't say I'm surprised at all. Like Croatan, it's a small community, but the talent that they have, like athletically in the volleyball world, is pretty crazy considering it's such a small area. And a lot of those girls like really pursued volleyball and played club. It wasn't just like a high school thing. They put in work on the side, and they traveled, 45 minutes to an hour and a half to go to club practices numerous times a week. So no, I can't say I'm surprised that, they've come as far as they have. There's a lot of talent there for sure.
So then you go from Croatan to Arizona State. What was that transition like? You're from a large city, so that's not a huge part as far as going away from home and being somewhere else, but you're playing for a Division I volleyball program. Tippity top. Was that a difficult transition to make as a freshman?
Yeah, definitely. Having to wake up at 5:30, 5:15 in the morning, get ready and have to do all the responsibilities that we have on top of school and, adjusting to the weight of college classes is definitely a challenge. But at a big school like ASU, there's a lot of resources that they give you to kind of help with adapting to those sorts of things. So I was able to really utilize those outlets and, able to like kind of maximize my experience here. But I will say my first 2 years, I was coached under head coach Bradley Keenan, and he ended up leaving after my sophomore year to go out to Texas to coach. And then we had a new coach. My new coach now is Kristen Rohr, and she came from GCU. And honestly, the transition from my previous coach to my coach now was probably bigger than my transition from high school to college volleyball. It's just a lot more intense, I would say, which isn't like, I'm not saying that with like a negative connotation at all. It's just that was definitely more of an adjustment for me.
Yeah, we've seen that here at even a high school level where a coach goes out and a new coach comes in, and maybe it's their first time being a head coach, or maybe they're just one of those head coaches that have a philosophy of we're gonna work very hard, and that can be a different transition for sure, especially as somebody who's finally gotten adjusted to the college life, and now classes are getting harder and all that jazz. And speaking of which, I know that you were planning on majoring in biology, and now you're going to graduate business.
Yeah, so I just decided that I love biology. I'm actually minoring in it.
Oh, nice.
But being an athlete, my boyfriend's actually a microbiology major, and being in the sciences as an athlete is hard, just with like scheduling and like getting into labs and all that. But I mean, other than that, I also decided I'm really interested in law, and I want to go into like regulatory affairs. So business law was definitely more of a major that fit what I wanted to go into afterwards. But yeah, I mean, shout out bio majors, because I mean, those chemistry, physics classes are tough.
Yeah, anytime I do a signing story with someone who says they're going to major in biology, I'm like, really? And be a Division I athlete or Division II athlete?
Well, and I mean, I think you said it earlier too, where you love it, and sometimes if you apply that level of like work and effort towards something that you love, it can kind of dampen that. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. Like, yeah. It's like if you really love a certain thing, you don't go work there necessarily, because once you see how it all works, you're like, I'm not so sure this is for me. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not impossible. I have girls on my team who are neuroscience and engineering majors who are so smart, and I know they're definitely struggling, crying at night studying, but it's definitely not easy to balance. With waking up every day and having to, and honestly, just like being in the headspace, like practicing every day, is like so draining, like not only physically, but mentally. It's hard to like be in the headspace to do homework after you've had like a bad day at practice or just haven't performed the way that you want to, So that's definitely something that I've had to work on over the years as well.
And I'm curious where you're going to go after you graduate, because JJ, I don't know if you know this. One of the things that makes Arizona State special is its size. It is 75,000 students. It's the biggest college campus in the country. Just for
that's not online and
no, that's everybody on campus. And just to give you some context, NC State's our biggest, and it's like 35,000.
Right.
So double that.
Good
and
grief.
so I imagine, were you Tokyo, New York, Dallas? Where are you headed after? You got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I gotta maybe I'll go back to the small town. Just
there you go.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, Zach.
No, I actually so I tore my ACL my freshman year, so I have a fifth year for volleyball. I know a lot of girls who use up their eligibility for beach. You can actually go and play indoor, but I have another year of beach because I redshirted my freshman year. So I'm actually gonna enter the portal here pretty soon, and as a grad student. So I'm graduating this spring, and I'm looking to go to, like a different program, just find something new for my last year and go get my master's at that school. I've kind of been like looking around shopping, but it kind of just depends. I mean, the portal is really changing the game, transferring for our sport. So it'll be interesting to see what opportunities lay ahead based on that.
Well, you brought it up. What's that been like to be a college athlete during what appears to be the biggest transition of college athletics ever, between the portal and the NIL and all that jazz? What's that like to be right in the middle of all that?
NIL is absolutely insane. It actually, I don't know if you know, the name of the lawsuit it came from Grant House, who's actually a swimmer here that I know. And there's definitely, it's so controversial because there are so many pros to it, but there's also a lot of cons. It's insane. Unfortunately, I won't be able to experience this, but athletes are going to be making so much money. It's going to be full-time jobs. people aren't going to want to leave college because they're going to be making so much money, like, at the college level, which has never been seen before. But also because of this lawsuit, schools are going to be in such, like, a detriment, like losing so much money and having to pay out these lawsuits. They're probably going to have to cut some programs because of that. So it's kind of scary for, you know, like non-ticketed events like our sport. You know, we don't make a lot of money. We're not like a revenue sport like basketball and football. So all of those non-revenue sports, both female and male sports, are going to be kind of on the line. So that's definitely going to change the world of athletics, college athletics at least, you know, over the next couple of years. So it's been crazy, you know, being in school during a time like this. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about everything.
No doubt.
You made your college debut as a junior, getting on the court. Was it tough, kind of biding your time the freshman and sophomore year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my freshman year, it was, you know, I was out with my leg. My sophomore year, I didn't really get to the point where I was practicing until January. So definitely, like, kind of just getting used to everything, you know, and it was tough just traveling as a sophomore and, you know, for a good amount of my junior year. But I feel like I got to a point where last year our team, like, improved so much. We went from being pretty overlooked by every team that we kind of played against to being like a threat, and we went to nationals. And I think it was awesome to be a part of a team like that, to playing an active role in a team that, you know, is doing so well and performing so well. But I'm definitely looking forward to this season and the opportunities that lie ahead of this season, for sure.
Yeah, y'all go from 11-13 to 21-10. That was quite a turnaround.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we'll definitely improve those numbers this year as well.
Oh, wow.
We have a really tough schedule this year. We go to Hawaii in 2 weeks and playing, you know, just the best teams in, you know, college beach volleyball. But
that's all.
We'll be okay. We'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be playing. Let's see, you got your season starts February 20th. You'll play Hawaii, UCLA, USC, TCU, Stanford, and of course you're playing West Coast schools. You're playing Oregon a lot. You're playing and man, later on you're playing LSU and Texas and Arizona. You got some big names on this list, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Definitely more so than we ever have. This will be probably the toughest season we've ever had. But I mean, our team is also like tough as nails this year. We have like a lot of talent, and so I'm just really excited to see how we, you know, handle everything and our resilience. So it'll definitely be cool to watch and be a part of.
What are you, Lillie? 6 foot?
I am, yeah. Everyone, well, my male coach, Paul Araziak, he gives me a hard time because I think we're like about the same height, but he likes to say that I'm way taller than 6 feet to make himself feel better, but I'm actually 5'11 3/4. I think I just look pretty tall. But yeah, I don't know. I always just say 6 feet because, sure, you know, 5'11 3/4 is kind of a mouthful.
Where does that rank among Division I beach volleyball players? Are you pretty average, or are you tall, short, what?
I'm actually the tallest person on my team, which is crazy because I don't feel like I'm the tallest person on my team. You don't have to be super tall to play beach, which is also another reason that I love beach. I mean, indoor is pretty much like you have to have, you know, a certain build to play certain positions, and that's just how it is. But beach, I mean, you can see a girl that's out here that's 5'5" and is just an absolute threat, you know, and is killing it. I mean, with my height, I'm a blocker. My coaches don't even, like, give me the chance to play defense. That's not even in the cards for me. You kind of see, like, a variety of different heights with beach players.
When did you hit that height? What age were you?
I was kind of, like, average my entire life until, I want to say, like, my sophomore year of high school. Yeah, I was a pretty, like, late bloomer with everything, and my sister was as well. She was like a midget though growing up. Like she was always like 5'4" like her entire life until her like senior year of high school, and then she's like 5'9" now. So we're both like pretty tall. I mean, height is definitely an advantage for volleyball, but for beach as well. But yeah, you don't have to. Beach doesn't really discriminate as much as indoor does.
And you moved around quite a bit. You lived in North Carolina. You lived in Texas. Where else did you live growing up? Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I was born in New Jersey, and then my dad was in the Secret Service, so we moved around for his job a lot. And then we moved to, like, D.C., and my sister was born, and then lived there for a couple of years, and then moved to Texas. And then, yeah, I mean, my sister is, like, my best friend. We are so close. I love her. It's definitely been hard with her being, across the country, but she comes and visits me all the time, and I go on a lot of trips. I went to Montana over the break to visit some friends and, brought my sister along. She tagged along. So, I mean, it's great. I get to see her a good amount, and she comes out here and visits me. She spent, like, a lot of the summer with me. She loves Arizona, so I wish she could be here, but I'm also glad that she's, growing in her own way, like doing her own thing, making a life out for herself in Raleigh. She loves NC State, so I'm happy for her.
Nice. You were telling us a story right before we got on there that you were hanging out, because your dad being a Secret Service agent, you were able to hang out there at the White House a little bit?
That's like my one fun fact about myself. Yeah, I loved going to the Christmas parties growing up. Yeah, we just got to because of my dad's job. So when we lived in D.C., that was really cool. And then when we were in Texas, when Bush moved to his, like, house on the ranch, we got to go to his house, a few times for various celebrations and things. So that's like my one flex that I tell people if I have to share a fun fact, that's pretty
the
much my
go-to party story. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure you've got a open window of who you want to go to next. But when your time at Arizona State's done and you do enter the portal, do you have any idea of what schools you'll be looking at?
It kind of just depends on what schools have money and what schools have openings for grad students. It's a little bit different than regular, just transfers. So it kind of depends on that. But yeah, I mean, I'd be down to go. I mean, I definitely have some, schools that I would love to go to that, have my major. But as long as, or what I want to master in, but as long as, the school is, has scholarship money, has the master's program that I want, has a good team culture, I'm pretty much open to go anywhere. So I'll kind of just see what kind of falls into my lap and where, God wants me, he'll put me. So I trust in his plan, and I know I'm going to end up where I'm supposed to be.
Have you been on scholarship the entire time at Arizona State?
Yeah, and it kind of fluctuates. The one thing, though, that you can count on is, academic. But with Beach, it's actually really exciting because they're now opening it up to 19, full scholarships. And that won't be until, next year after my last year. But it's going to be awesome for younger girls that are coming in. It's really cool to see how the sport is growing and the opportunities it's going to give to incoming athletes.
Wow, that's an amazing number. I know some sports in the college level just have maybe a handful of scholarships they can hand out.
Right. Yeah, no, and 19 is an insane number.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
I think track and field is nothing like that. I think they're really limited.
Yeah. No, it's going to be cool.
And what do we think we're going to do career-wise with this business law degree?
I spent the summer studying for the LSAT, and I decided when I was really meditating on my future, I was like, wow, I've had senioritis since, like, my sophomore year. I was like, I don't know if I can go to law school. I was like, I don't know if I want to spend 3 more years in school. So I love law, though. Like, I think it's so fascinating. But I kind of found, and I've also always been obsessed with pharma. My mom worked in pharma before she quit her job to be a stay-at-home mom. A lot of my family members and my mom's close friends are in that sphere still. So I've always been obsessed with it. But I want to go into regulatory affairs, which kind of blends my love for, law and pharmaceutical sciences and everything. So I'm excited. And I won't have to go through, I need my master's, so I'm definitely going to go do that, but I don't have to go through 3 years of, law school and going into debt and all that. So I'm excited about it.
Lillie, you are definitely on a unique path athletically and academically, so it has been a pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been really fun.